It's a long time we've been together now, and it's a hard climb we've yet to go together. But you know it won't have taken any time at all. When we take life, when we take life, when we take life and give it all our love. When loving is our day and our night. When loving is our day and our night. Many years ago, we stood on the edge of time while we watched the past slowly die between us. But don't cry, for love can take you anywhere at all. When we take life, when we take life, when we take life and give it all our love. When loving is our day and our night. When loving is our day and our night. Oh, the ocean is our very father now. And the ocean is our very soul. Our way and our goal cannot be taken any way at all. When we take life, when we take life, when we take life and give it all our love. When loving is our day and our night. When loving is our day and our night. When loving is our day and our night. Mhm. Thank you. And Nan, poke your head over here. Well, she likes to, this reminds me of something. That song, uh, when I was back in my college days, uh, I was agonizing. This is back in back in the '60s. I was agonizing over what I was going to do with my life. I mean, really agonized. I had not a clue. This is before Bob. I was uh, I was regretful of a lot of the things I had done during my college days, selfish things. And I had an idyllic childhood, so I was very nostalgic about my childhood. And then the Vietnam War was going on, and so I was really bummed out because I was no way I was going to go. I was going to have to go up to Canada to avoid the draft. And so, in the middle of this, you can imagine this is a lot of mental turmoil I was in. And then I got into Baba, and one day, this is probably back in the '60s, he flashed this to me. In every moment, there is always something loving that can be done. In every moment, there's always something loving that can be done. Now, I realize, and when loving is our day and our night, but when but I realized I was only about 10% in, you said every moment. Well, I was only about 10% in the moment. I was like, a lot of me was energetically in the future. A lot of me was energetically in the past, and the Vietnam War, which I was opposed to. So I wasn't even in the present. So I say the longest journey I've ever taken in this life is to the present moment. It's taken me about 40 years to get to the present moment. I mean, it's hard to be here in this moment and live from here. But Baba gave me that blueprint early on, in every moment, there's always something loving that can be done. You know, even trying to be loving is love. Even if you're trying and you're failing, it's still love. So anyway, that song, that I was reminded of that by that song. So anybody have anything that came up or feels like sharing?
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's a plug for your CD. That song is one of many beautiful ones on your CD with Nan, and it's one of my all-time favorite
Oh,
CDs.
good.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
I have something silly to say.
What's that?
I have something silly to say.
Yeah, good.
Hunter and Brad are appearing separately, but they're wearing the same clothes, so really they're the same person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're working through an argument, and they're now keeping separate from
they
it.
can't be on the same couch, so they're wearing the same clothes anyway, though.
Well, mine's black, and
Uh-oh.
his is navy. So.
Oh, that's yeah.
Yeah. But
That's how we can tell you apart.
anyone have anything that comes up? Diane is leaning forward. Could that mean something?
Sure. Kind of an eventful week. I won't talk politics, but
yeah,
I don't know. There's a smile on my face and a bounce to my step and a hope and a vaccination in my arm all in 1 week.
Oh, you got your vaccination.
Yep. Yep. One down for both of us.
South Carolina is kind of way down on the list. So it's going to be a while for some of us.
Janet got hers. Janet Files.
Oh my God. So I have a couple of quotes here. This is Baba. This much is certain, that the truth is infinitely more anxious to reveal itself through you and through everyone than you're seeking it with utmost efforts. I'll read that again. This much is certain, that the truth is infinitely more anxious to reveal itself through you and through everyone than you're seeking it with utmost efforts. So whatever we're doing on our side is much less than what Bob is doing from his side. And that was the amazing thing, that Kitty was, they wanted to be around Baba and be more, with him, but she found that Baba was much more eager in uniting with them than they were from their side. She was very surprised, because when you think of Jesus there, you don't think of Jesus really wanting to embrace you and unite with you. You think of yourself as uniting with him. And so Kitty was very, very surprised to find that Baba was much more eager for uniting with them. Yeah. So Hunter, you got anything? Oh wait, first I want to ask you, Hunter, what's the book by Llewellyn Vaughan Lee? There are a number of them.
Yes. Oh.
Something the Sacred?
Okay, no, let me, let's see. It is.
While you're waiting, I want to get Al. Hey, Al? Grosso. Hello, Al. Huh. He must have his sound off. Okay, so yeah, what was the book?
It's called A Story of Life's Mystical Secret.
Huh.
and it is his newest one. And he's what he said of it is that it was the culmination of his life's work.
Okay, okay. Wow, I looked on for Amazon and I didn't see it. Okay.
If you go to the goldensufi.org,
Yeah.
Their website, that's where I found it.
Okay, good.
But I do have something to share.
Yeah, beautiful. Go for it.
That after last week, someone mentioned Fakhruddin Iraqi's The Divine Flashes. And
Divine what?
Divine Flashes.
Oh, flashes. Okay.
And this is what I opened it to, which was, of course, exactly what Baba needed me to see. I have seen that the lane of piety stretches out far, far into the distance. My dearest friends, can you not show me then the way of the madman? Bring me a glass of Magian wine that I may drink deep, for I have given up all thought of ascetic piety. Or if the pure wine has all been drowned, bring me the cloudy dregs, for thick residue lights up the heart and illuminates the eyes. Tuppence for the Sufi meeting house. I flee the company of the righteous. Fill up a row of glasses with wine and bring me the first. I have no rules or regulations, nor heart, nor religion. Only I remain, and you, sitting in the corner in the wealth of poverty. All fear of God, all self-denial I deny. Bring wine, nothing but wine, for in all sincerity I repent my worship, which is but hypocrisy. Yes, bring me wine, for I have renounced all renunciation, and all my vaunted self-righteousness seems to me but swagger and self-display. Now for a time let my proof be wine against the sorrow of time, for only in the drunkenness of love's embrace can one be free of the hour's grief. Once I am thoroughly drunk, what difference if I end up in a church or in Mecca? Once I've abandoned myself, what matter if I win union or separation? I've been to the gambling house and seen that the losers there are pure. I've been to the monastery and have found no one but hypocrites. Now I've broken my repentance. At least do not break our covenant. At least welcome this broken heart and say, how are you? Where have you been? I've been to Mecca to circle the Kaaba, but they refused me entrance, saying, off with you. What merit have you earned outside that we should admit you within? Then, last night I knocked at the tavern door, and from within came a voice, Iraqi, come in, for you are one of the chosen.
Beautiful. Very much in the spirit of Hafiz as well. But I like that the road to piety is kind of endless. There's a Sufi line, renunciation of renunciation is renunciation. Yeah. Here's something that, I mean, does anybody have anything there on the table in front of them?
Okay, I just have one quote.
Yeah.
It is diseases are one of the devices or means of communication between the supreme intelligence, God, and man. Man's pain is his pain too. How else would you get the message? I am audible?
Yeah. Yeah.
Voice is okay? Okay. There are several main causes underlying the diseases of the human flesh, namely harmful feelings, emotions, an artificial dietary regime, unnatural unnatural meals, schedule, and food composition. The lack of short-term and long-term goals, and misappropriation of one's essence and purpose in life. Positive emotions is variety of plants and reappraisal of one's essence and purpose in life. All these are capable not only of counteracting diseases but also of sufficiently enhancing one's physical and mental emotional state. Jai Baba.
Jay Baba. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Hey, Al Grosso. Al Grosso. Al.
Good answer.
He hasn't got his sound on. Anyway.
Jeff,
Yeah.
Jeff,
Yeah. Go
look
ahead.
at I just got it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The
Look
Untethered-
here.
Yeah, Untethered Soul. It's a very good. This is a very good book.
I just got it today. I remember you're talking about the other day about the book.
Yeah.
And I was very curious, so I got it.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna start reading today.
Yeah. Almost the entire cabin crew read that book. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something about the author of this book. It's called The Untethered Soul. It's written by a guy named Michael Singer, who has been helping the center incredibly. I don't even I don't know if I should divulge, but just that. But anyway, he has a place down in Florida called the Temple of the Universe, and he's brought many great souls. The Dalai Lama and Baba Ram Dass and all different ones to his center there, and even some of the Baba people have been there. But anyway, there was one person that worked there named Brian Bagari, and he used to work at the center, but he worked there for 7 years with Mickey Singer, and Mickey Singer was about kind of finding that place within you that doesn't get all caught up in the emotional and mental streams that are going by. And he's quite a beautiful soul. Anyway, and he said, you don't really need to go anywhere. So after 7 years, Brian Bagari said he was going to go to India to be in Baba's tomb. And he was feeling a little reluctant to tell Mickey this because he is always saying, you don't need to go anywhere. So he kind of sheepishly brought this up with Mickey Singer. And Mickey Singer looked at him and said, about Baba, he's the one looking after all of us. Beautiful description of Baba. He's the one looking after all of us. That's what, Lenita, that's what he said. Quite beautiful. So let's see, we got Alan Manukian. Any
Yeah, I actually just opened up this book, and I'd like to share this poem because it somehow relates exactly, well, in my mind, exactly to what you were just saying. This poem is called "Left Holding the Baggage." Just relax. Do you still doubt that our beloved accepts you and is carrying you to the goal? Dear friend, you're like a man standing in the aisle of a moving train car, holding his suitcases, thinking he's still waiting for the train on the platform. This is from Jeff Wolverton. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I just like that scene because I guess that you could sum up my week with that. It's like, do you doubt that he accepts you and is carrying you to the goal. It's like standing in the moving train, but you're still worried that when am I going to catch the train? But you're on the train.
Yeah. We're all on our way, you know. If you don't think you're on the way and you think you're just still on the platform waiting for the train, you missed a few scenes.
You missed the train. You missed the train altogether.
You know, there's a very interesting insight in this book. I hope it can be conveyed. It's a little interaction with Erich. Now, back in the 70s and 80s, especially in the 90s, there were a number of Westerners that lived at Mehrabad and also at Merazad. And there were always a lot of problems amongst the staff there, you know, territorial disputes, so to speak, and personalities not getting along and all that. And so, and the Mandali just seemed to kind of let it happen. And so this one guy came to Erich and said, you know, he described what's happened. You know, what we need to do is do this. You know, we need to get more harmony, and I have various things that could be done to make it, you know, so that. And he said, this is what the guy said. He would keep suggesting to Erich time and again how a certain thing should be done for the smooth running of Mehrabad and in accordance with Baba's pleasure. This prompted Erich once to make a comment to him. Erich chuckled and said, "How do you young ones make claims to know what pleases Baba when we, who lived with Baba, could never do so? One could never be certain of what would please Baba. When you did a certain thing thinking Baba would be pleased, we would often get the opposite results, where Baba got upset with us and reprimanded us. And when we were certain that Baba would dislike a certain thing, Baba on his own would inquire about that very thing with great interest and repeatedly remind the Mandali that he liked that particular thing. It was like that. When you assert that you know, you are asserting falseness. When you assert the falseness, you are still caught in ignorance. One who is caught in ignorance, how can he have real knowledge? How can he know what Baba's pleasure is?" Now, the way that affected me is, you know, we have to stay, you know, remain humble about the things that we think Baba might want. They may be the very thing that we think that Baba would want is not, turns out to be not the best thing that to have done, and vice versa. So even Erich, with all those many years of experience, is still not 100% certain what would please Baba and what wouldn't. You know, you have to kind of be a little bit humble about that. Sometimes he would say, maybe you should do this. Maybe, maybe, he would put maybe, he wouldn't say do this, you know. And then there's one other thing here that I mentioned earlier this morning. Craig Ruff and Erich and Rustam Falahati were together. And Craig said to Erich, tell me, what, according to you, are the inner qualities of a Baba lover? What, according to you, is the main difference between the qualities of a Baba lover and a worldly person? So Rustam butts in and says, well, I can tell you that. It's very easy. Try talking with that person. If he is unreasonable and you can't get along with him, know for sure that he is a Baba lover. and Erich and Craig got a good laugh out of that. So, yeah, anything that strikes your fancy. You know,
Adrian,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that Adrian and I had an interesting conversation this week where she had, she had a thought about something and I had another one. And it's not unusual, but this particular thought was that she was mentioning on her side that for her, her relationship. I'm not going to say what maybe she wouldn't like that. It seemed like hard for her to talk about then, so I won't say it out loud here. On record. But about Baba's form, Baba's physical form, and now that he's not in the physical form, and the importance of that or the not importance of that, and how I guess each of us has our own relationship with that. But I guess for me, it was something interesting because, when you think about the Avatar coming again, and then we, some of us coming back again and again, and we'll be around him, well, then what about the form of Meher Baba? Then it's like, I guess that's the old oats then during that time, and it'll be a new form, and it just keeps happening that way. But there's some sort of importance to us here now that we don't know whatever that new oats is, because we're dealing with these oats, which is Meher Baba. And I don't know. That's just maybe if that kicks off some conversation.
Well, if we, I'll tell you a scene in Mandalay Hall one time, and I've mentioned this before. Eric said, "What does it mean to hold on to Baba's Daman?" And people gave all sorts of answers over a period of about 45 minutes or so. And then and he listened, and we said, "Well, Eric, what do you think?" And he said, holding on to his form, holding on to his personality. And you think, I mean, it is so important, but that's not an ordinary form. It's not the form of Bradley. You hold on to that and you don't know what's going to happen to you. But if you hold on to Baba's form, it contains the formless. It's the concentration of all love. So it seems like you're holding on to a form, but you're basically holding on to one of the outlets where divine love is flowing through. So you can't go wrong holding on to his form.
When you say holding on to the form, do you mean with our thoughts, like thinking?
Yeah, with your heart and your thoughts, any way you can.
Yeah.
In other words, Baba is real. What can I say? If you hold on to the spiritual is still in the realm of sanskars, spiritual sanskars. Baba has no, doesn't have those impressions. It has divine impressions, but they have nothing to, they're completely infinite. So if you got a choice of hanging on to the spiritual or hanging on to Baba, this is what Eric was saying. That's the best way to go. And his personality, you say, well, his form isn't here. His form is still here. He still appears to people. His personality remains eternal, you might say, just like Jesus's personality is still here. And he even appears to people. And sometimes they actually even take form. And there have been some of the Baba kids during the Yusa harvest have seen Baba in form, and they've actually touched his form. So he can even do that if need be. So, but there was one of the, I've mentioned this before, one of the perfect masters in the 1800s, the latter part of the 1800s, Ramakrishna was asked what the highest form of love is. And he gave the example, he gave two examples. One of them was the love that the gopis had for Krishna. and here's how he illustrated it. The gopis, the cowherd women and men grew up with Ramakrishna, with Krishna. And and then what happened, I mean, that's another whole story. He became the king, and he went off, and so they didn't see him so much. And one day he sent one of his disciples, one of his ministers actually, to Brindaban, where the gopis were. And as he was coming down the hillside, they ran after him and everything. They said, where's Krishna? Why didn't you bring Krishna? Where is Krishna? And the disciples said, but Krishna is the Lord of creation. He's everywhere. Oh, don't tell us about that. We don't want that. We want Krishna. They wanted him in form. That is really the highest form of love in creation. Even though you wouldn't, it seems like it, it seems like it's not as high as love for the infinite God.
Yeah, so there's something very important about its physical form and the fact and how it interacts with all that it comes into contact with physically in that focused point in the universe, in all the universes.
Yeah. Darwin used to say, the photographs and the movies don't show anything of what it was like to be in Baba's presence. I mean, he would kind of say that under his breath. Basically saying, you guys really missed something, but he didn't. He was gracious enough. Hey, so Bradley, you got anything there?
Yeah, I'll add a little to that. And Hunter knows a little bit about this. It's been about a year and a half ago. Baba had taken me into a place in my consciousness where he showed me beyond him, and it just destroyed my concept of his form. And it was like for a month I was so broken, because it's like he had given me a sip.
Mm-hmm.
He just gave me a taste of the sake beyond his form. And so every time I looked at his image for that next month, it was just like I didn't see Baba anymore. And so I was the heartbreak that was in having that little sip of that, and then looking at his form and saying, well, he's just like Jesus, and he's just like Muhammad and Buddha, but I've fallen in love with him in this form. And it was really painful. And I remember sitting down back to meditation. And after a month of that, my Baba came in and said, see, I'm the doorway to what I showed you.
Yeah, beautiful.
I'm the doorway to what I just gave you that little glimpse of. And you have to walk through the doorway to get to what I showed you. But the heartache in seeing just that little glimpse.
Beautiful.
So
Bradley, that is, yeah. Darwin used to say that Baba is the doorway to the infinite. Exactly. Beautiful.
But it was painful. I mean, it really, for a whole month, every time I looked at Bob, I was just heartbroken because the form didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
but then he gave himself back to me.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I fell in love with him all over again, and just cracked open even more. And in some ways now, I just try to, I look at his eyes and I just try to fall through the eyes and let him fall away.
Yeah, beautiful. Really. Yeah, excellent. And Paula, have you got anything there near at hand?
Oh, I was just looking at this picture of Baba and his, it's the one that he was at Guru Prasad and it's taken from behind and his neck is so soft. It's like you just want to kiss it.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The thing about harmony, this is in the blue bus, and I think it's kind of funny. They were celebrating Mara's birthday, and everything was going on nicely. This is on the theme of harmony and stuff.
Yeah.
Baba does.
Mahu
So-
should be listening to this too.
Yeah, yeah. So they were having a good time. But anyway, Marwan just got there and he was just a little boy. And then so they were having a good time. They were cutting Mara's birthday cake and there was a Santa Claus entertainment. And afterward, the women enjoyed more birthday sweets and pulled crackers with Baba. Baba's continuing reminders to the women about maintaining harmony were put to the test the next morning when a disturbance took place after he called them together for darshan. Marwan was seated on his mother's lap at the back of the room where everyone had gathered. Suddenly he heard the tap, tap, tap of high heels as a woman came running in and collapsed at Baba's feet, sobbing uncontrollably. Behind her came a clunk, clunk, clunk of heavier feet as a rather much larger woman followed her into the room and began pummeling her on the back with her fists, berating her in a language unlike anything Marwan had ever heard. I was shaking all over just watching. The two women were Nadine and Helen. Baba had assigned them to the same room, but they were reluctant roommates at best. Reclusive Helen was continually aggravated by Nadine's restless and talkative nature. Clearly, they were in the throes of some colossal misunderstanding. Marwan did not know what to think as he was his little boy, what to think as he watched Helen repeatedly pounding Nadine on the back as Baba serenely looked on. Finally, Helen ran out of energy and stopped. Afterwards, Marwan said, there was pin drop silence throughout the room. Baba asked Nadine to rise and he told the two women to embrace. This they did, and afterward it seemed to Marwan as if the confrontation might never have taken place. Baba later explained that he had had no choice but to allow the dispute to run its natural course, because if interrupted, it would have festered and arisen again at another time. Mani documented the event in her diary with 2 words, Helen incident.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
I remember.
Like things weren't always real harmonious around Baba, but people certainly grew. when you'd ask Margaret about the time with the women on the hill, she would go like this, oh, the hill. I mean, she'd roll her eyes up into her head. It was a rough life. But you grow like crazy, and they all were so harmonized internally at the end of their lives. They really were exceptional.
Yeah. Quick question.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about, this has been on my heart this week, just really being in the longing of Baba and not really feeling like being too much in the outer world. And really just wanting to be just with Baba and that's it. And can you talk about having to be in the outer world and this whole meditation in action thing? What did Darwin because sometimes the longing is so bad that you just want to stay in the longing.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I would just like to sit and just say Baba's name inwardly with my in breath and out breath and not do anything. But yes, one time I got so far inside that I thought I would never get back out. I was really worried. It was like I swam out in the ocean and I actually lost sight of the land. So I didn't know which direction to go to get back to land. And I brought it up with Bao Churi, and he said, don't worry, you'll make it back. But it's I know there's that deep state, but love will get you to do things. You know, sooner or later, love will make you do things. Well, love will prompt you to do things out of that state. You know, but and what is there to do? Uh, you know, I mean, it's a lot of the things that we do, we probably don't need to do. But what does love want us to do? What is love prompting us to do? And to be in that state, available, you know. But no, it's wonderful though that we have to deal with these things and not and not our taxes.
True.
Or whatever, all that.
Yeah, I have to say that this week has been particularly challenging in my life, and one thing I'm recognizing is that these meetings in particular, there's something about something really true about the inner links. I mean, obviously, I think one can intellectually grasp some concepts that Bob talks about, but to experience it and then to be able to reflect on that and feel it in your life is another thing. And I've definitely seen that this week in particular was like, I don't know, it was like hell week or something for work. There's a lot of things happened that I think in the past I wouldn't have had the patience or capacity to really handle without having some sort of mental break. Really, I mean, it was a lot of pressure. But the one thing is just that I think it's like you said, Jeff. It's like I don't know. It's just even little thoughts of him, like in the midst of the suffering. You know, even just little imaginings of like maybe I'll feel like my whole body is super tense, or somebody's yelling at me for something, or there's multiple instances of synchronistic being effaced by multiple different angles and like just people and experiences, and a quick couple second like little, I could just imagine like him kind of stopping and looking at a doorway and then going through a door or something, you know, just little moments that I don't know if they're real, you know, whatever they are, it would like be enough to remember, like you said, what is real, or to focus my that little fragment of my mind that's not spun out and not caught up in the emotions and the experiences, but that little thing, it's like he really just, it's just a little glance of him is enough to keep you going, and not just going, but like there is some sort of enthusiasm to living, and instead of just having the weight become unbearable and feeling like everything's out to get you and everything is just going to crash and everything's terrible, you know, instead of getting to that place, it's more like there's almost an enthusiasm to how can I overcome this challenge? What do you need from me, Baba? You know. So yeah.
You keep kind of touching base with the real at little moments in the day. It's no small thing, you know, because you're touching base with something that's outside this mess. You know, that's still, that's quiet, that's not demanding, that's just is. You know, no.
Jeff, can I share something about the importance of Baba's form? Like, that came up. So along the same line that you shared how Erich in Mandalay Hall responded to this question. So Rustam Falahati shares this, that there was a time where Gary Kleiner, when he was a resident in India, And of course, he was close with Erich. So he sees Erich and he asks him, says, well, Erich, Baba often talked about the fact that he's not this body, he's not this physical form. And then he has said many times that he is the infinite consciousness. So why do mandalis encourage us to remember Baba's form or think of him and this, you know, in his physical body? Wouldn't it better if we pursued his infinite consciousness? And Gary asks. And and then he says, if I focus and meditate on his infinite aspect, then wouldn't I be closer to him? Because ultimately he is God, you know, in his infinite consciousness. And then Erich tells him that, Gary, the path of Meher Baba is much more superior to the path of infinite aspect of God. And then Gary resisted, well, you know, what you're talking about, Erich, you're not being open-minded. You know, that's Gary's style, of course, challenging. As Erich used to say, intellectual gymnastics. Anyway, he would say to all of us, right? So anyway, so then he said, and then Gary says, well, then, you know, then you're going to have an attachment to this to this form, and then how are you going to get rid of that attachment after you got closer to him? And then Erich will tell him, well, you don't know what you're talking about. To Gary, it says, the path of Meher Baba in this advent is far more superior to all other paths. And you don't know, you can't even handle the infinite aspect of God, because that path is full of danger, he says. There's a lot of obstacle, a lot of hurdle to come through, and you wouldn't be able to, neither you or a lot of people won't be able to handle it. There's a lot of suffering involved in that. And then he mentions about this must. I'm sure you heard of this story that he said, well, there was this must that, you know, he would see that infinite aspect of God, you know, formless form of God everywhere, in everything. And then he would not, as a result, he couldn't put his feet on the floor, because he said, God is everywhere, and I'm not going to put my feet on the floor because I would not want to put my feet on God's face.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and and then, yeah, Baba Lover apparently would see this mass and try to convince him to, you know, stand on his feet and, you know, try to ask him to touch the ground like everyone else. And of course, the mass refuses and say, well, how can I put my feet on God's face? It's blasphemy for me. And so, you know, there's that thing that I never thought about, because, you know, it seems that Baba has made it so easy for us, because all he asks us is just remember me, think of me, give all your weaknesses to me, and then love me, eventually love me, then you can love me the way I should be loved. And sometimes we just take him for granted. I do, because he's so available, his physical form, through Mandali, all this Zoom meetings, his photos and writings, everything is so much more than any avatar whatsoever. His revelations in Advent is just far superior, far detailed. And so anyway, so that's why then Erich said, just gotta hold on to his form and it will take you to destination.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
No, it's It's the highest form, and it's simplest, because like I say, once you get way up into these transcendent states, there are no traffic lights up there. There are no road signs, no, you can get lost. I mean, just think, I mean, Eric, you say, just think of how complicated this world is, the gross world. Baba has said the subtle world is infinitely more complex than this one. And, it takes many, many lifetimes in the gross world to get the feel of this world. How many you're going to have to do to get the hang of what's happening in the subtle world? Wow. So Baba's, keeping us from that and just going right to where we eventually have to come back to him or to a perfect master.
And Eric, one more,
go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, about this, how difficult it could be in subtle world. I remember I asked one of the Mandalis also, I said, well, like, what is this illusory world? I'm ready to go anyway, any day. There's nothing in this world that could hold me up and, and stuff like that. And I said, well, wouldn't it be better when we go to the other world and we live on our subtle body and we're not bound by these five senses? And then he said, it's not what you think. The life in the subtle body is much harder. When you go to the other world to balance your sanskaras so you can come back, it's much harder. Yeah. He told me that. So here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Mandali gave up their high state, as Eric said, to look after his form. They looked after his form. So it was fed, it didn't get disease. They made way for him in every way. I mean, basically, Eric, as great a soul as he was basically a personal attendant from the worldly standpoint. He's doing the same kind of thing we're doing down here, in the sense of, dealing with the hassle of the gross world. But I wonder if Mayor Prasad has any thoughts about this.
There's a lot of background noise here, Jeff.
In your house?
Yeah, there's some visitors that are here, so. But I don't particularly have any comments. Right?
Any comments? Yeah.
I was
go ahead.
I was watching a video not too long ago, and Eric said something astonishing, and he said it like he was talking about the weather, but he said Baba's in his physical form now in the world, and whoever was there said, Eric, he's what? He's here, and he goes, yeah. He said it just like that. Yeah. So I don't know exactly what that means, but I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and he does appear to any number of people, I mean, that we've heard there at the center.
I kind of wanted to get back to kind of what some things that Alan was talking about. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Mani said, I finally found in the Blue Bus book, they were at the zoo, and Mani, it's like in working and stuff, it's and in the world, it's really hard to remember that that it's just hard, but to think of Baba and know that Baba's everywhere, and Baba's in everyone, and Baba's in me, and I'm dealing with Baba somehow on some level. But anyway, she said, so they went to the zoo, and Mani said, so it wasn't for our enjoyment that Baba was giving of himself. All the animals were being blessed, and through them, all the animals in the world were being blessed. Baba would use a small dimension like an architect uses a model, which would then become universal. So through that, Baba was reaching out to all. Like through a few of us, Baba would reach out to all. I never heard her say that so clearly before. so like through a few of us, Baba would reach out to all. So these animals were special. Baba's visits to the zoo were special. But then I thought, like, especially when I was working around more people, but it was like, I never knew for sure, but I always hoped that Baba was working through me. And I kind of, that's always been my suspicion, you know, that we don't have to know anything about it or what he's doing, but that he's doing his work in us and through us. And that's just always kind of been my hope. There's your ears.
No, it really is, even whether we know it or not.
And this last week, Alan was talking about this last week, and this last week just got to be really, really difficult for me. I mean, I got to a really dark place that kind of scared me. And then what I do then is it's like, okay, just ask Baba to help me. You know, I mean, a lot of it in being in a place like that is like being patient with what's going on, whatever it is that's going on. It's like, because he will help, but it felt pretty dark, and there was this incredible sadness. And then I was thinking, and I've thought about this quite a lot, because we are all connected, and I don't know that this is just my sadness. You know, it's like there's so many people in our country who share the same sadness I have, and so I don't know that it's just mine. And it's like, oh, what to do with that, I don't know. It's like, give it to Baba. That's, you know, that's what to do. I don't know. It's like how I think we share more than we know.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I feel waves of sadness come over, and for no apparent reason. I mean, there's just a lot of currents that are flowing through the world now. Some of it might be our personal feelings, and some of it may be in the air we breathe, so to speak.
Yeah. You know, when I was in India, I was at Baba's Samadhi 9/11. And this is just a feeling that I had that's really strong. So for me, it feels true. But and it wasn't personal. It wasn't about me. But I felt when I walked up the hill after I found out what happened, which was absolutely terrifying, but walking up the hill, I really felt those 3,000 souls on my back going up the hill with me. Not because I was me, but because I was an American. And it was like, I just felt them all there. You know, I don't know if that's true, but it was really strong. And for me, it's true.
Yeah. No, if we were to actually see all that's happening, well, I'll give you an example of you know, Baba's Mandali, Sarosh. Sarosh had been with Baba since he was around 18. He was Adi's cousin, and he grew up in Ahmednagar. And his whole thing was he used to, you know, when he talked about his life with Baba, he would kind of he would go, all I do is just Baba, 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 Baba. He was a businessman, but inwardly he was just pumping out Baba's name. And so some of you have heard this, but after he after Baba dropped his body, he came to America. Flew into New York, and the moment he touched the American shore, Darwin, who was about 5 hours away up in Schenectady, could feel waves and waves of love emanating from New York. And then Sarosh went from New York up to Boston, and they could still feel it, you know, all the way over in Schenectady. This wave, in both he and Jean were very sensitives, you might say. So they were going to go over and see Sarosh. So they're driving over from Schenectady to Boston. And as they get closer and closer, it's more and more powerful, these waves of love and everything. Eventually they get to the place where where Sarosh is. And Sarosh is, they come in and he is sitting there with a jigger of whiskey or something, looking at a brochure, kind of slightly bored, having no awareness of what is emanating from him in all directions. I mean, Darwin told me it was clear that he had no idea what was coming, emanating from him in all directions. So that's like real effacement. He got so effaced, he doesn't even know his own presence. And we heard his two daughters recently, and I remember them when they were younger, and I had a feeling they were kind of on the fence about Baba, but I had a feeling that the atmosphere that he created around the house when he died, they thought that the atmosphere that they lived in was the way life is. But when you take him out of there, boy, what a great loss. Then the atmosphere is just the ordinary atmosphere that most people have to live in. Wow. And that was when they actually began to feel Baba. Wow. But they just thought that was life. That's just the ordinary atmosphere of most homes, but it was really his presence. And once that was gone, boy, that's the lights go out or the lights go dim. You go down to 15-watt bulbs.
There is that one film of Baba where I forget what it is. It's very, very quick, but he leaves. You can see that he left because all the color drained away from the whole film. And then when he came back, all the color came back in the film. You know what film I'm talking about? Yeah.
No, is this where he's sitting in the lagoon cabin?
I don't remember. He was sitting somewhere, but it's probably, yeah, and it's pretty remarkable to see.
Yeah. Or there's one, over by the caretaker's cabin too.
No, Jeff, I felt about this when Baba's Mandalay were visiting 2 times. One time I remember when Bao Kalchuri was coming and he was about going to arrive to LA airport. I was in a close proximity of LA airport. I live about 20 minutes from the airport. I mean, compared to distances in LA, it's fairly close. And I literally felt the energy when he arrived sinked in, that I had to park my car aside the road and let this whole energy just go, through me and be drowned. And then, of course, inside my ear, I got the summary of what he was going to talk about in the Sahavas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that time he talked about how Baba talks, I'm not this body, I'm not this body, I'm not this body. And this whole thing just got, like a scenario. I heard it all in my ear. So that was very special. No, they're very, these souls are extraordinary, very extraordinary.
Yeah. And Mansari used to say, that Baba told her, if I have one of my lovers in a city, that city is protected. So, meaning that at any time we can get elbowed out of the way and Baba can do whatever he wants through us. We might not even know it, but that's we Val used to say, I'm just a potato. I'm just a like a couch potato, just a potato, but there's a lot of presence, a lot of Baba's presence there. Oh, let's see. here's while we're on that subject, this is Rumi. Why the prophets are human. Why the prophets are human. And it refers to Ali. Ali was kind of the Erich of Muhammad's time. A woman came to Ali. My baby has crawled out on the roof near the water drain where I can't go. He won't listen to me. I talk to him, but he doesn't understand language. I make gestures. I show him my breast, but he turns away. What can I do? And Ali says, take another baby his age up to the roof. The woman did so, and her child saw his friend and crawled away from the edge. The prophets are human for this reason, that we may see them and delight in their friendly presence and crawl away from the downspout. The prophets are human for this reason, that we may see them and delight in their friendly presence and crawl away from the downspout. So he attracts us away from the edge by coming in our form. It's a beautiful description of why they have to come in human form.
This is something that happened around Bauji. My oldest son met him at a Sahavas when he was in high school. And before we left, Bao just, he took him by the arms, he stood back, and he looked at him like he was a proud father looking at a dear son. So this was when he was in high school. And then when Bao was this is just really strange. When Bao was at Mehrana and he had his heart attack, that same son of mine he had to be taken in an ambulance. He went to the hospital. He had every symptom of a heart attack you could have, which I was familiar with because I'd gone through that with my husband. They did all these tests. He did not have a heart attack, but it happened at exactly the same time that Bao had his heart attack and was suffering in Mariposa or down by Sacramento. It was just very strange.
Yeah, wow. And it wasn't a heart attack at all, but all the symptoms.
All the symptoms, yeah. But all the tests came back normal. But for Baoji, he was suffering. So I don't know. It was just kind of interesting.
We overlap in all different ways, I'm sure. You know. Yeah, let's see. Alan, you got any other soup du jour?
No, but I was just thinking about when Paula was talking about medical emergencies or medical stuff like that with I just thought, wow, like all the things that happened with Baba, like all the things that to us, on this earth, when you see a human being going through that, you want to help them, you want to have them feel better, you feel for them. And I can't imagine what the Mandali and others went through who saw Baba go through the accident, or somebody putting a needle in Baba's head, and he just did all that if for the sake of those around, and even the stories that would come from that, because they're living stories. They're not something of a fairy tale, but they are other doorways to people will never know, quiet moments, and it goes on and it ripples. And I don't know, that just came up for me. It was just very beautiful that everything he did, everything that happened for that form is a doorway.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an older person and coming to Baba, it was an old man who suffered this and that. He came for them, And then he was the young Christ, you know, in the early years. And
Mhm.
he played a little for everybody.
Mhm.
There was a one time when Baba was so depressed, so profoundly depressed, and they couldn't get him out of it. He just sat there. I wish I can't remember how long, but it could have been weeks. They tried to take him out for a drive. They tried massage. They tried everything. He was just totally disconsolate. And I think they even, at that time, I think they gave him some antidepressives to see if that would do. Nothing worked. But he was given those antidepressives so that even those who need to take those to you know, to lead a balanced life, even for them, he played that. You know, I mean, he was that. He didn't just play it. He was that. Because sometimes people think they take antidepressives. I'm not saying, I'm not recommending that. I mean, but some people have to. And even Baba was there for them. Plus, an old man going into hospitals, you know, staggering around, having to be helped. He played so many parts for so many people.
Hey, you know, what was that dancer's name? Tex Hightower.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he said that it was a particular instance when Baba came to visit where he went to go help Baba get up, and the first time that he tried to do it, Baba grabbed him with just his index finger and his thumb, and he just did a little tug, but it threw Tex back. And he was like, there's no way that happened. I must have imagined that, like, that didn't happen. You know, there's no way. And so he tried it again. And I think they were on the beach. And Baba looked at him and did the same thing and just kind of like tugged him. And he just flew. He's like, I flew. I'm telling you, I flew. Like, and it was just a particular thing because he looked like a very weak old man in that moment. And Tex just wanted to help him, you know. But yeah.
No, there are stories of that little things where Baba would have unbelievable strength. When they would be carrying Baba in that lift chair in Mandalay Hall, I mean, Eric said sometimes Baba was as light as a feather. You know, 4 men could easily carry him, even 2 men. And sometimes Baba, it was like 500 pounds. It was heavy, extremely heavy. So Baba's body was not like our body.
Well, what about the fact that his bones now are in a particular place in the world? That means that particular place is pretty important, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's the highest concentration of divine impressions of anywhere in the world.
Wow, I never heard it that way.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to see how Priya and Goa calling Goa. Ah, there she is. Good to see you, Priya. Yeah.
I was just thinking that these gaps are not good.
The what?
These gaps, I missed being here the last week and a half.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Good to see you, though. Yeah. And Marinaz, I was thinking of your father. See if she comes.
Jai Baba, Jeff. Jai Baba, everyone.
You know that meditation that we did at the end of Effort and Grace?
Right.
And that kind of expansive, I mean, for me, expansive place of Baba's love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was in that state, I thought of your father. Wow, this must be the state that these Prem Ashram boys were in all the time, you know, and just maintaining that, that expansive state of love in Baba.
Right. And I remember, I think I once said it. I don't remember if I said it or not, but I'm going to say it again, that once, I think it was on my 13 years old or something I was. Once I asked my dad, because he would stay in that meditation state for at least 2 hours, goes on for 3 hours. And I mean, it depends, of course, if no one was home that he could stay in that state for a longer period of time. I guess it would go on for a whole day or something. But usually it was distraction. So, but anyhow, once I asked him, Dad, what do you experience? What is it that you stay for that long period of time? And then he paused and he said that حضرت مهر بابا به من اجازه نمیده حرفی بزنم. Meaning that Meher Baba doesn't let me to tell you that. He doesn't allow me to tell you what I experience. And when I meditate, I can, keep myself in that state for maybe 45 minutes, I would say maximum. And I really feel so good, so wonderful, so light, so refreshed. And then I come out of it and I say, and I look at the time, 45 minutes is gone. It's like, for me, it was like a minute. And I'm saying that, I'm nowhere where this man was. And what was he really experiencing? I mean, the amount of love that he was experiencing at that time, of course, 3-4 hours was nothing for him. And I remember the time when he left and lived in mountains for about a year and a half. I can't remember exactly how long it was. That's where he went. He wanted to be in a place that he just experienced Baba's love and no distraction whatsoever. So, it's just amazing. And yes, today's a meditation, that short period of time, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes I truly enjoyed it, but where are we as far as really experiencing Baba's love to that intense? It's just,
yeah. I mean,
I
you
know,
could
Jeff,
feel you could feel that radiating from your father. I mean, a kind of sacred love, kind of emanating from him. I mean, Brad was talking about being in that state, that great state. These guys were there 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
They had learned how to do it with Baba and to do it safely, without, I mean, they could just hold that stillness and that great love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, Sham Sunder, I see that he's here. He asked me yesterday in Arti to share a story from my dad, and I already had my time in Arti, and I usually don't go for the second time, but if I know he's there, I can go. Yes, hi,
Yeah,
Jay
he has
Baba.
appeared.
And now you can.
Jay Baba, do you hear
Hiding
me?
under the rug.
Yes, I
Yeah,
hear
do you hear me clearly? Am I loud enough, or I'm pretty low?
you.
Here we go. I made my microphone a little. So anyways, this one of the story. Actually it is his favorite. It is his favorite story, and I have heard him saying that many times, telling that story many times. And it's obvious for me why that he always wanted to tell that story, because every time he would say that, he felt that freshness, that feeling, that new feeling in that story. And especially when Baba gave him a hug, I would say every time he felt he told that story, he would feel that love of when Baba gave him a hug. So anyhow, the story goes like this: that one day, Meher Baba asked and these boys that next day all of you come up with a story and tell everybody. So you guys got to prepare a story. And now he's telling to Iranian boys, so they don't know English as fluently. And Baba asked them that you must tell the story also in English. So my dad thinking that, oh, okay, I'm this lazy boy. I'm not that good in English. So I better come up with as short a story as possible. So he thinks about the story, and then next day he tell Baba and everyone else that once there was this old man with long beard, and he sleeps and he dreams, and in his dream he dreams of devil, evil, okay, evil. And he goes after evil, and the evil had a long beard, and he pulled his beard and said that, you're such a naughty man, you're so bad, why you go and harm people, why do you go and steal, why do you do this, why do you that? And he was so loud and he was so angry that he wakes up from his own noise. And then he realizes that he's holding to his own beard. So when he tells this story, Baba laughs and then he gives him a hug. And, a little boy of 8.5 years old, this hug meant a lot to him. And he lived with that love for 80 years after that. It just, and and all of us could tell every time he told that story, he would feel that love of Baba giving him a hug. And every time I heard that story, I said, wow, how fortunate you were that God hugged you and he enjoyed your story. And, it's just amazing.
And, and it seems like it's the past, but actually the present is is in the past. The present includes the past. So Darwin used to say, someone would say, oh, Darwin, you get to relive your times with Baba. And Darwin would say, not relive my times with Baba, I get to live my times with Baba.
Right.
They're all new. They're all fresh. They're all happening for the first time, you might say.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's delightful.
So Sham Sunder, I hope you like that story. I'll have some more story for you next time.
Yes, I've enjoyed it and will be eager to listen more, maybe tomorrow or other days. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jay Baba.
Sham, do you have a beard? No, you don't. But Alan should watch out. That dream is going to go into his, subconscious, and he'll be pulling his beard in the middle of the night. Well, let's see. I'm trying to think. I might be running out of steam a little bit, but let's just see if there's anybody else. Jay has had his son there. Marion, anything from New York City? Lanita's going. Her lights shut off automatically at 11:30. So
we're heading out too. Good night, all.
Yeah. Good. See you, Bradley. That was beautiful what you said. I mean, that experience you had there with Baba is invaluable. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. And Dinesh, next time we're going to find out how you heard about Baba. When
Sure.
You come next time.
Sure. Jai Baba.
Yeah, Jay Baba, nice to see you. Anybody have anything? Prakash is over there in Hyderabad.
Jai Baba, Jeff, and everybody. I just throw something that's running in my mind recently. I'm here with my mom, who is 86 years old. And she is a great lady. I mean, nothing but Baba exists for her. But she has her own ways. I mean, she's very persistent and in getting things done. And I'm a little slow in such aspects. So why I'm saying this is because my mom is reminding me of Baba's words. If you require, one of the points Baba said regarding his grace is if you have tolerance supreme. And and that just keeps ringing in my mind constantly. And I said, God, I mean, I have to just develop more patience, and more tolerance. And I have to understand why, my mom does what she does, the way she does. And so, yeah, and it also reminded me of Baba's message. Obviously, he says, try to see me in everybody. And so, in order to develop that tolerance or patience, I figured recently, at least, though I don't succeed all the time, that we have to realize his presence in all, and that makes things easy, which sometimes I do succeed in doing, many times I do fail. So I just thought I'll just share with everybody.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
86 too. That's
yeah, but she is such a great person, and she has run our family all by herself all through. My dad was also there, but he was very slow again, like me, and not too forthcoming in various things he did. But my mom ran the family on her shoulders, and now for her, for last 20 years after my dad passed away, it's just been Baba. It's just been Baba, constantly doing something for him. I mean, about him and for him all the time, and thinking about him, doing prayer. I don't recall how many times, but she's constantly doing prayers. And she is the type to help everybody. I mean, she jumps at it. And sometimes it bothers us. And when now that she's old, she cannot do it. And she'll make people around like me and my brothers and all just get that done. And and that's where I figured I required a whole lot of patience and tolerance, and to be able to see Baba in everything and everybody. Yeah,
beautiful. Patience reminds me. I just finished this book, The Blue Bus Tours, and you have like Erich is driving the bus for periods of time, and they're always getting flat tires. I mean, all the time on Indian roads, and like every 45 minutes, they're having to change tires, and they're kind of threadbare, and it takes them an hour and a half. And Baba's already ahead in another car, and he why did you get so far behind and everything? And I mean, they had one blowout after another after another. They were going thousands of miles. So someone worked it out about every 45 minutes, 45 miles, they were getting flat tires. And they, Eric, I mean, Nilu, I think it was Nilu and Vishnu and Erich would say, Baba, we need new tires and everything. And Baba wouldn't get them new tires. And there was money to buy tires, wouldn't get new tires at all. And at one point, they got a flat tire and they actually had to stuff their clothes in the flat tire to be able to make it to the next town. Can you imagine wadding up your bedding and everything and putting it around a rubber tire and limping into the next town? But talk about patience. When you read that book and you realize all the flat tires that they got, and the bus would go down into the ditch or into the shoulder, and they'd have to get local bullocks to help pull it out. I mean, it's just, and Baba had the money to get new tires. So, I mean, pushing Erich to the brink,
Yeah.
and Vishnu to the brink. But if you get that book, you will, you'll you'll be astounded.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
I mean, it's just, I mean, that is so much helpful. I mean, the patience aspect of living.
Oh.
I mean, it's just something I need to work on, obviously. I mean, and my mom gives me the best opportunity.
Good.
Can I read it?
Well, I think, oh, go ahead.
This is a quote from Baba.
Okay, good. Hey, I'm thinking of and we'll read this quote and just take a few moments, and then maybe we'll head on our way.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't like things to go smoothly or easily. There is no credit in doing things easily. One must experience resistance, difficulties, and pass through awkward situations. The more opposition you have from Maya, the more you should resist and face it with fierce determination.
Yeah.
Works for me, Meher Prasad.
Yeah,
Works for me too.
when Baba went to in 1956, he went to San Francisco, and the Sufis were there, and they planned everything out like clockwork. Everything was going smoothly. I mean, they had thought about it. They had an organization, so they were able to do it. And at one point, Baba said, things are going too smoothly. I'm going to put a monkey wrench into the thing. And sure enough, all the commotion started happening. So don't think that the commotion that happens in your own life is just yours. There may be someone behind the veil. Hey, so let's take a few moments of silence here and then say goodbye. Jai Baba.
Meher Baba ki jai. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
So, if you're interested in day after tomorrow, we'll be back. And And I hope Dinesh can give us a story of how he came to Baba. And see all of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jai Mer Baba
Jai
Jeff.
Baba. Yep. Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Jai Baba, everybody.
Jai Baba.